Everybody, and welcome back to another Q&A. Hey everyone, my name is Tom Vasel. Let me fix that a little bit there. All right, fantastic. And okay, so it is Monday evening. There's a lot of stuff going on today. We went and looked at a cruise ship, the Independence from Royal Caribbean. I am working on the contract now. Once we get that contract signed, anybody who has already sent me an email or sends me one in the next few days will get the first opportunity to book one of the rooms there. I'm really excited about this, folks. It's a beautiful ship. They're giving us a great area to play games in, and I think the prices are going to be pretty fair. So we'll put out the official announcement soon, but things are in motion at least. Of course, anything could and still might go wrong, but I'm looking forward to setting this up. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so anyhow, I'm Tom Vasel from the Dice Tower. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments of the chat section, and I will try to answer as many as I can. Repeating your question often does not get me to answer it. And I may have already answered these questions in another chat. I understand that you can't go back and watch every chat, but I'll try to re-answer them occasionally. I'm not going to answer the same questions every time, and I won't guarantee to answer every question, but I'll try to get to as many as I can. All right. Is Burano in your stack of 2 review games? Yes, but you have to realize that stack is just shy of 300 games. So it may be a while. Can I give a sneak peek at the games to be reviewed? Well, I mentioned at every board game breakfast what's coming out this week. I think the one I'm most excited talking about this week is the World of Yoho. Although German Railroads is also very intriguing. And I'm about to review, I was just about to review the best treehouse ever, so that's coming soon. There's a lot of great games. I'm going to do a few. I've been doing 15 a week. I think this week I'm dropping down to 10. There's 2. I'm taking my family on a. We're taking our Christmas break early, and so we're going to start this week and continuing next week. So there'll be fewer things next week also. Probably 10 reviews instead of 15. I'll try to catch back up at some point, but games need to get played soon too. There's a lot of things going on this week. Specifically, let's see, Star Wars, right? Okay, I'm a geek, so Star Wars is involved this week. My family, we're going on a mini vacation, and there's the South Florida Christmas convention, whatever we're calling it. 12 hours of gaming this Saturday, so hopefully you're in the South Florida area and can come join us, because that's going to be a lot of fun. So anyhow, let's see here. Is there any one game or event you're particularly looking forward to in 2016? Sure. Dice Tower Convention and Dice Tower Cruise. Head and shoulders above everything else. Now, I'm also very much looking forward to Gen Con in Essen and the Gamma Trade Show and Origins. Those are my other big 4. And there's a few other events. I'm looking forward to going to England, but there's no single one event, I think, that I'm looking forward to. I always look forward to whatever's next. And right now, whatever's next is the Kickstarter and the live 24-hour thing that we're doing, or however long it's going to be. I have tried out the El Grande Big Box Edition that will be coming. I feel pretty confident that will be reviewed Christmas week. Do I need the Blood Rage expansions? Well, I don't know that you need them because I've been really enjoying the game without them. I have not yet played them. I will try to get a hold of them and play with them. I hope they're good, but I don't think you need them at all because the game is fantastic. Now, maybe once I play them, I'll be like, how did we ever play without this stuff? But I don't think so. How's progress on the Dice Tower Essentials line? Royals and Onitama specifically. Onitama is currently at the printer, and so you should see it hitting stores in Q1 of 2016. Royals is not too far behind that, and we have not picked a release date for that one yet, but it will be coming out in 2016. I'm curious, has your being the boss ever interfered with you being Sam and Z's friend? Well, it's a tricky situation as always, in those kind of things. It has not interfered yet in that regard, and I would hope that it doesn't have to be that way. I do my best to not ever have those two things come in conflict. What games in 2016 are you looking forward to? Not really even thinking about those other than the Dice Tower Essentials. Of course, I'm looking forward to them because I have some some hand in getting those coming out. But other than that, I'm still concentrating on the 2015 games because I have quite a few of them to look at yet. In your opinion, when you purchase a game, at what point do you consider you got your money's worth? When I really had an amazing time with that game. I have taken my family to the movies. I don't take them very often because it's very expensive. It can cost me $60, $70, and that's going matinee times, right, with my whole family. And we go for 2 hours and we have a great time. And everyone has fun and it's a great time. Okay, I'm not going to be able to repeat that time again for that $70. But a game, if I pay, let's say, $70 for it and I have one great session with it, for me, that's worth it. Now, I would not be happy probably not being able to play it more times, I suppose. But the fact that you can play them more times is great. But I don't have any kind of play to satisfy my money I spent ratio. Okay. Whew. Boy, the questions came really quickly here. Would you say Letter from Whitechapel is a more fun game than Scotland Yard? I don't know. If you tried to get me to play one of the two, I think I would probably go with Scotland Yard because it's a little faster, although Letters from Whitechapel is really good. But I think I would pick Spectre Ops over either of them. Would you say it's likely to see Sam back next year since he said he enjoyed his time with Dice Tower this year? That's certainly the plan. I can tell you the plan right now is I'm not making Sam and Z stretch goals. Last year we made Z a stretch goal and then Sam was a secret stretch goal. I'm not making them stretch goals this year. It's all or nothing. You get all of us or you get none of us to some degree. I think that will work. I hope it will work. But I don't want to make everyone's jobs kind of tenuous every year, hopefully. Explain your fascination with unusual hats. I like hats. I was very disappointed as a child to find out that the era of wearing fedoras and stuff was over. I always thought they would look cool. Baseball caps were very big in the 80s. They're still big now, but they were very big in the 80s, as were headbands and bandanas. But I just like wearing them. So there came a point in my life where I just came to the conclusion that I really didn't care what other people thought about the clothing I wore. I mean, obviously, I will dress properly to go to a wedding, to a funeral, to church. I am cognizant of what other people think and the appropriate wear for different things. But other than that, I'm going to wear what I want to wear because I think I have fun doing it. I don't really care what the trends are and such. And honestly, it's been a bit freeing that way. Everyone always says, "Oh, cool hat. Would you wear it?" No. Well, then why do you think it's so cool? I've always found that odd. Do you think Marcy Case is also PG-13? I would say yes. It's very violent. Very violent. So I would say PG-13 for that one too. I guess I don't know why I'm hesitating. It's pretty violent. I would say PG-13. I'm really hoping the next one my kids can play with me. Or all my kids, I guess. In a Tom Thinks segment, you mentioned you wouldn't like a board game subscription box. How do you feel about sites like Board Game Exchange that do a Netflix-style board game rentals by mail? I would be interested in that, I think. I've talked to the people from Board Game Exchange before. It's an interesting idea, and it's a great way to try games out. I think for me, doing that, it would have to be better than my other options. Like, let's say I had no games right now. I still feel like I'd have some pretty good options. In my game group, there's lots of people I would just go game in my game group more and play their games and get involved with the games that they have. If I didn't have a game group or I was the sole guy bringing games to the game group, it might be a good option. But when it comes down to it, Netflix is way better than renting movies. It's really cheap. I mean, it's super cheap comparatively. For renting one, I guess movies are getting cheaper to rent now. But for renting a few movies, I can have a Netflix subscription for a month and watch all sorts of stuff. Although my kids even more so. There's so much stuff for the kids to watch on Netflix. With the board game exchange, I don't actually know what the prices are, but I don't think the amount I pay is going to cover all buying so many games per month. I think it would, I don't know. I just don't think the value as is great. I think it's there, but I don't know if I would do it. Maybe I would. I don't have to though, so it's kind of hard for me to guess. When are you going to see Star Wars? I'm going to see it Friday night. Have you ever been hesitant about reviewing a game and then been pleasantly surprised? Oh, definitely. Definitely. Many times I've been like, I don't know about this one, and then I was really surprised. And I'm glad. What do you do with expansion boxes when the expansion fits in the original box? Have you watched any of my expansion reviews lately? Go watch them. You'll see. You briefly mentioned having a sister channel to the Dice Tower in one of your videos. Care to give any insight on what that might be? Not yet. What game pre-2015 do you still pull out to play? Find others playing more than most? Cosmic Encounter. When are you going to England? We're going for the UK Gaming Expo. June is when that is. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. We will schedule at least a day where that before the convention, because I really would like to see London. I mean, there's a gabillion things I'd love to see in England and Scotland and Ireland and all that stuff, but we won't have the time for that sort of thing. But hopefully this will not be the last time we go to England, but I am looking very much forward to it. Let's see here. When you are teaching a game, how much teaching time do you spend on strategies for the game? Not much at all, really. I don't. Why should I teach strategies? I'll say, hey, it's important to do this. It's important to get this, like for victory points and such. And sometimes if a game is tricky or there's something that people all forget, I might mention that. But I'm not going to really tell people strategies. I think that's up for them to find out. I mean, unless, of course, they're looking and saying, I don't know what to do. Of course, I'll help then. My goal is not to destroy people I play against. Which of your board game breakfast segments do you think has the shortest shelf life? I don't really know when I start a segment how long it will go. I usually do them until I'm like, I'm good with that one. Like I did the one where I took a look at one of my shelves and then, talked about the games and why I'm keeping them. I did that for a while, then I pretty much finished those, so I stopped that one. You'll see a resurgence of that one in probably about a year or so. I did the things that tick me off, but I mean, I only have so many things that tick me off, and then so now I'm doing things that make me happy. I don't know. Whenever I always try to think of new segments and new ideas for the show. I don't think the board game room one will last forever, just because I haven't got as many videos for that recently. But I think we'll last a few more weeks at least. Castle Panic, says the man. My gaming group says it looks childish. Is the gameplay too shallow? The gameplay is a little shallow, but I wouldn't say it's childish. It's just a very family-friendly game. However, grab either of the expansions for it, and you're going to really up the ante for that game. So, you could do that. That's what I would do with adults anyway. What's coming next in the Dice Tower Essentials? Just to reiterate, we're going to see Onitama is the next game to come out. Probably on the heels of that, or somewhere along the line, we're going to see Royals. Starborn, I'm putting that in quotes because the name will be changed. You'll see at some point throughout the course of the year. And another game which has not yet been announced, so I'm not going to spoil that here. I need to check with Arcane Wonders. A party game is coming out this year, as well as there is at least one other game in serious development that is going to come out this year, and then another game, a reprint of an older game that we have the rights to, which I'm very excited and glad to be bringing that one back. Remember, some of you are asking me, have you played this game yet? Have you done a review of this game yet? You can actually check that on our website. Okay. How are you planning, if any, on expanding the Dice Tower in 2016? Well, I have goals and things that I would like to see. We expanded a lot in 2015. We need to continue to solidify that expansion. I have an ace or two up my sleeve, which we'll reveal a little bit later in the Kickstarter. I will say that one of my far-reaching goals is to add a video editor. So even now I'm entertaining those thoughts of adding a full-time video editor to our crew, slash gopher. I am also thinking about eventually moving the dice tower out of my house, which is not good in some respects. I do like working from home, but we are getting bigger and we may need to do that soon. But I have ideas for that, which that won't be revealed until later in 2016 if that happens. Okay, so let's see here. Wow. Thanks for all the questions, guys. Just realized I'm not going to get to all of them. Woo! Oh, man! I didn't realize there were so many questions. All right. Well, let's get jumping on these here. What are the plans for the marathon in terms of expected games? I cannot tell you what the expected games are yet because we're going to be sitting down and having a conference call about that and planning out exactly what they are. I can tell you there's going to be a decent amount of party games that you'll see. Because they liven things up and they're interesting to watch, and you will see. I would be really surprised if you don't see Cosmic Encounter because Eric needs to play Cosmic Encounter, and Spyfall. Okay, Cosmic Encounter and Spyfall. Those are two games I feel pretty confident that you will see. You mentioned you play piano. What level are you playing at? Well, that's an interesting question. I had piano lessons when I was in first and second grade, and then I never had piano lessons again. My church, or my parents made me continue to practice though, and so all we had at home was a hymnal from our church. So I learned to play from that, and I can play pretty much any hymn, and I know hymns pretty well, and I can play okay, I guess. You know, I'm always very careful to say how well I can play because around someone who's a real pianist, I'm nothing. Okay, I make lots of mistakes and things. Around people who don't know to play the piano, they're always kind of like, I didn't know you could play. So I'm not that good. But I can play in church when they need a backup pianist. And since that's mostly where I would play, I fool around. I have a really nice keyboard, and I fool around sometimes with that because I like keyboarding better than piano playing because I like adding the rhythms and the chords and the things. I have a lot of fun with that. All right, let's see here. Do you like hockey? I like to play street hockey, but ice hockey, it's okay. So I have no favorite team. What's a pitfall or design flaw do you consistently see in new games you review? They need to be streamlined. There's always a couple extra things in many new games, and it's like, you could have just cut that out. I see Chaos Ball on your shelf behind you. Have you picked up any of the expansion teams? I have them all. Did you ever read any of the old Star Wars books? I guess they're old now. I've read most of them, actually. I read the Thrawn trilogy, which is still the best set of books written about Star Wars ever. I then read The Black Fleet, which was awful. There was a couple other awful books written around the beginning time there. They got better with Kevin Anderson, the Hutt's Gambit or something, The Courtship of Princess Leia, that was good. Where they built another Death Star, the Hutts, whatever they called it, and they started the new Jedi Academy. Those were decent books. I like those, and I read several of the books. I read the next Thrawn duology, and I read some of the other books, and I enjoyed them. Then they brought in Yumvis Vong or whatever, and I read that whole series. I think it was like 13 or 14 books. It was a bit of a slog because it was so depressing. It wasn't Star Wars anymore. It just wasn't exciting and cool things happening the whole time. It was just like bad guys win, bad guys win, bad guys win, bad guys win, bad guys win. Occasionally a good guy would win. You're like, yeah, and then the bad guys would win again. The good guys won at the end, but it just didn't feel very Star Wars-y. And so I read a little bit beyond that, but they really messed with some characters. I don't mind you killing off major characters. Like, a very major character was killed off in the very beginning of this series, which was fine by me. I mean, they killed him off in quite a spectacular fashion, and I didn't mind that. I did mind when they killed another major character halfway through the series for almost no reason. They were like making this character the focal point of the series, and then killed him. And I don't want you to, if you're going to build up a character and I'm going to see what he does, and don't just kill him in some kind of, that wasn't random, but it was unsatisfying. Okay. I hear you guys mention Korea every now and then. Why were you there? Is that where you met Sam? No, I met Sam in college. I was there because my father-in-law started a school in Korea, and I went to teach for him. And when I was done teaching for him, I loved Korea so much that I stayed there for another 8 years. Who's your favorite hated Star Wars character? Well, if we're talking expanded universe, then it's either Admiral Dwala or the Bothan guy. I can't remember his name. The guy who was such a twerp in the Thrawn trilogy. In the movies, C-3PO has been getting really annoying lately. I don't know. I don't really have any character I hate. Oh, maybe adult Anakin Skywalker? Okay, let's see here. I admire your very sensible stance on Collector's Fever of being a completionist. Have you ever had those urges for a game? I often have those urges for a game. How do you stop yourself from going overboard? I don't have money to do it. I mean, that's really it. I can't spend money I don't have, or that needs to go to other places. Also, the more things you have game-wise, I think the more satisfied you are. I don't need to have every single thing for games. I'll easily turn down promos and things for games. It's just not that big of a deal for me. How does the new X-Men trailer look to you? It looks pretty good, actually. I was happy with the way Archangel looks. I was happy with the way Apocalypse looks. The trailer did seem to kind of say Apocalypse was the god from the Bible. I wasn't real keen on that, but okay, whatever. It's just a story. But everything else looks a lot of fun. Do you think Democker is still a relevant game for a group that enjoys heavier Euros? I think so. I mean, Democker is one of those games when people say, oh, Tom doesn't like Euros. I really need to make like a list on my website. You don't think I like Euros? Well, here's Russian Railroads, and here is Age of Empires, and Carson City, and Democker, and Le Havre, and I mean, there's just many. But yeah, I really like Democker. I think it's like an experience game. You don't need to play it. It's long. It is long. But I really like how the whole thing works together. You seem to be friends, or at least friendly, with some game designers. So how do you deal with giving one of their games a bad review? Oh, I hate doing it, but I will do it because if they are truly my friend, then they will understand that I gave it a bad review. Just like I don't mind as much when they come and say this review's a bad review. Are there any space opera book series you really enjoy? Yes, the Honor Harrington series. I really like that series. Although I have not read a book from it in a while. I don't know if there's a new book out for it or not. I should look that up. I've really been reading short stories lately. I've gotten into this, there's a trilogy of short stories I just read that The End is Nigh, The End is Now, and The End is Come. And there's the same authors in all three books kind of writing stories that go through the books before Apocalypse, during Apocalypse, after Apocalypse. Kind of depressing series, but really, really fun. When am I going to tell the truth about the block party game with the terrible clue giver? I believe I did tell the truth on that one, and it's called Legos. Since Sam is doing the painting series, have you talked him into painting any of your mini games? Actually, Sam has offered to paint my games many times, so that's not a big deal. I just don't want to. I always feel kind of bad asking other people to paint my games, right? Although every time he says that, I'm like, ooh, I got a box here of Descent. He doesn't want to do that one because there's so many miniatures in Descent. Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or white chocolate? Dark, of course, but at this point, I would say no chocolate. Do you agree with Sam's review of Epic from White Wizard Games? I think you'll have to watch this week when I post my own review of it. Do you and your family enjoy camping? If so, any favorite games to take along? We'll start with the second half of the question. Games to take camping, I would take card games. That's games I've taken camping in the past have been just small card games mostly. So lots of fun small card games. But do I enjoy camping? No, I hate it. I think God gave us houses for a reason. For me, if I stay at a 2-star hotel, I feel like that's camping. I despise it. I hate bugs. I hate the outside at night where there's bugs. And it's mostly bugs, but I just don't like it. I like to wake up in a clean bed and have a nice breakfast. So, if you like camping, that's fantastic. I'm just not as big of a fan. Will you do a top 10 bad games of 2015? I will not, because I don't think there's a reason to draw any kind of attention to them. Tomorrow you'll see our top 10 games of 2015. Those are games I'm very excited about. I hope you guys enjoyed that video because it's just great to talk about those. I'm very interested in Caverna, but I hear it can be complex. Are there any warm-up games that can make Caverna easier when the time comes to sit down and play? Well, it's not. I don't think it's that complex, actually, but I can understand that. Maybe Stone Age would be one that would get you used to that. How do you feel about the reactionist ratings people give? For example, people rating Pandemic Legacy a 1 because they just don't like the idea of a disposable game. Some background on this question. I was just reading today about this, that a pile of people have given 1s to Pandemic Legacy because it had the audacity to get to number 2 at Board Game Geek. It passed Terra Mystica, I guess, and it now might get close to Twilight Struggle, but because of all these 1s, it came back down to number 3. I will say that it doesn't really bother me what game is 1, 2, or 3, or 4, right? I'm not a big fan of Terra Mystica, but I don't care that it's number 2 or 3 or whatever number it is. I like Twilight Struggle, but I think this is a inherent flaw in the Board Game Geek system where bad ratings bring games down. I would prefer that ratings be good. I mean, you can rate games bad, right? That would be a problem. But I would think that the good ratings count towards it, and I want to see the game that more people have given good ratings to. But that's what we call the Dice Tower Top 100 of all time. Anyway, that's a different thing. What do I think of people who rate games 1 just to bring them down? That is... I'm trying to think of a kind way to call these people losers and say how idiotically moronic that is. I cannot express my contempt enough at that. That is inane. Are you kidding me? You care so much about the ranking of a game that you will lie publicly. Lie! And say, this game is bad without having played it. Are you kidding me? If you don't like the concept of Pandemic Legacy as a disposable game, I understand that. I don't agree with you, but I understand that. But to rank a game and say it's clearly broken when you haven't played it, or because you think it's going to make another game come down in the ratings, then you are an idiot. Yeah, there's jolly Tom Vasel for you. You're an idiot if you do that. Seriously, there are many things. Go promote the games you like. It's the same reason I'm not doing the top 10 bad games, because I mean we do that sort of stuff sometimes, like with the top 10 worst games ever. I think we did, and we'll review games that are bad, but we don't need to keep harping on them. Go talk about what you do like. And I am mind-boggled at these people who just come in, and there are jerks who went into the 1 ratings and put spoilers to the game. Boo! Boo to you. You make it a worse place. And you're lucky that I don't run Board Game Geek, because I would ban you if you did that sort of nonsense. So in summary, I don't really care one way or the other about it. All right, let's see here. Cool Coke Steel strategy with multiple loans seems to be broken in 3 to 4 player Le Havre. Have you encountered this? No, because I never play with people who continually to break games. If I found someone who did it, I wouldn't play with them again. I don't read strategy, so I don't care about that. I found nothing broken in Le Havre. I'm very happy with the way it is. Would you recommend playing Time Stories with 2 players? Yeah, but it's way more fun with 3 or 4. I really thought 3 was a great sweet spot with it. I could play it with 2, but I think 3 and 4 would be fun. Let's see. Why don't you like Munchkin? I have a ton of fun playing it. Oh, well, that's okay. I think that's great that you have a ton of fun playing Munchkin. I think that's fantastic that you like playing Munchkin. I just am not a big fan of it because while I think the game has some funny jokes in it, that the jokes are not funny the second time, and I also think that the game is kind of random, especially when you just all pile up on whoever's in first place. There is a lot of people who do like Munchkin, obviously. I am certainly not the only person to dislike it, but there are many people who also like it, so that is fantastic. It's just not a game for me. The line between board games and miniature games is fading. Do you think the Dice Tower will cover more miniature games, or will you remain focused on board and card games? Well, as you say, it's fading, so I will just review whatever I think is best for us to review. How do you deal with other players who hate being on the upside down side of the board? I rotate it because it doesn't bother me. Do you feel like all options presented in a game need to be equally viable? Or is it okay if some are more important than others? Well, I don't know. That's kind of nebulous. I would have to have like a hard thing in that regard. I like options to be viable. But let's take a recent game, for example, Seven Ages Duel. Or Seven Wonders Duel. Sorry, Seven Wonders Duel. In that game, winning by points is the most viable method. But you can win by military and you can win by science. And that threat is there. And so I like that. I like that there are strategies that sometimes are like an end run. They're really hard to pull off because if you do, the victory is so much the sweeter. I don't like when a strategy is so obviously bad no one ever should do it. That's problematic. Oh, well then you just gave the example here. In Village, should a player who ignores the market be able to compete with a player who ignores traveling? Yes. I have. It's been a long time since I played Village, but I just recently played Village, My Village. And you can cover the different, you can do completely different strategies and all be viable. I really like that. What do you do when you have a group at home but they never offer to bring anything? I would then say, hey, can you bring some snacks? It's really easy. Sometimes people just don't think of that sort of thing. Are you excited for the new superhero movies like Batman vs. Superman and Captain America 3 Civil War? I'm really excited about Civil War. Really excited. Batman vs. Superman, I'm curious and interested because I like The Dark Knight. But the newest trailer looks really cool. Don't get me wrong. But it also looks like they threw the kitchen sink into the movie. They got Zod and they got Darkseid maybe. They definitely have a Doomsday. And I don't know that all that needed to be in one movie. And Wonder Woman, and it looks like it's going to be a movie where they fight each other, then halfway through it's like, bigger threat. Hey guys, let's be friends. Well, we've seen that happen many times before. No, I don't drink alcohol. I seem to have been okay so far in my life with that way. One of my favorite segments are the digital board game reviews with Suzanne. Haven't seen one in a while. Will she be back? You did not watch Board Game Breakfast today, I guess, because she did one there. Is the artwork for Royals being redone? I remember you saying that you thought the original box cover was a bit boring. It is being redone, yes. I've seen it, and I'm happy with it. Okay. Let's see. Once again... Falling down. All right. Wow. Okay. There it is. Are you going to play and post the third scenario of Time Stories? We're planning to do it with all of them until we get to one that we don't like. Then we'll consider it with the next one. But I'm actually planning to record and do more games in general. The live stuff is fun, obviously, but there's so much trickiness happening with recording things live that I would much rather record it with the multiple cameras and edit afterwards. Now, I would like to get that set up to be better. I would like to eventually get a rig where the camera's down on the board and that you can't see that rig from our other camera shots. For that, we need a slightly bigger room, I think. But we're working on it. We'll work on getting things to look better as time goes by. Have you thought about using Patreon in tandem with Kickstarter? I have thought about it, and I've rejected the idea for now. I don't have a problem with Patreon, but for me at the Dice Tower, I don't want to be constantly asking people for money, and Patreon is something you need to ask for all the time. With Kickstarter, I like it because it's a one time a year. It's like what PBS does, and it's a big event. It gets people excited. We do it. It's a lot of work, and then it's done and over with, and I can get to doing my thing. Also, it allows me to do bigger things because I get a lot of money at one point, so I need to buy equipment. I can do that now. It's worked well for me, and I would also be hesitant to change the horse in midstream. To do both would be double dipping. To do Patreon and Kickstarter. If you want to donate to the Dice Tower, you don't need to use Patreon. You can just go to our website and donate to the Dice Tower. It's perfectly a viable thing. I just don't want to ask for money all the time. Any plans to come to Canada in 2016? I'm making plans to visit both the Blue Jays Stadium and the Snakes and Lattes Cafe. What kind of board game related videos do you enjoy? I like Talking Heads a lot. This is kind of odd, but I don't usually watch other reviews of games. Unless I'm really curious what a certain person thought about something. I do go watch new reviewers. I don't know why that is. I hunt down new reviewers. I find them interesting and fun to watch and see what they do. But I usually like question and answers like this and things like that because they're interesting to me sometimes. As long as they are interesting. But I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to say who I like and who I don't like. That's kind of weird because I'm in the video thing. The best miniatures you've ever seen from a game or game series? Blood Rage is pretty close. I was really impressed with those miniatures. They were amazing miniatures. Do you like the habanero sauce called the hot sauce from hell? I don't believe I've had that one. I'm as I get older, I'm finding that I'm tending to want to have the super hot sauces, and I'm starting to lean more towards these fruity hot sauces, the pineapple habanero, or I need to get that one back from Origins. There was a cherry vanilla hot sauce which was amazing, and it's gone now, but I would like to get more of it. If hosting a game group at our home is not a doable thing, where else would you suggest going? That's up to you. If you can be quiet, a library might let you do it. If you can find a game store or some other store that lets you do it, maybe at a cafe, maybe a pub. There's many different places that may let you do it. You'll just have to ask around and find out. Would you play the piano at my wedding in July? I don't think you want me to, first of all, but secondly, I'm very busy in July. What are some of my favorite hymns? I actually did a top 10 list of my hymns. You can find it on the internet if you search hard enough. I believe there was a blog, I think it's called Tom Vasel, or Gaming with Girls it might have been called. It was one of those blogs that didn't last long because I just don't like to write. I like to talk. If there was something you could change about the board game industry as it is, what would that be? I'm pretty happy with the board game industry. If there's something I could change, some more unity would be nice. I would like the board game industry to get behind a set of awards, I think. Like the Spiel des Jahres, the publishers treat that so seriously. And yet we don't have any award in America that has that same kind of respect. The Origins Award could have that respect, but they've squandered that. They might come back from that, but it will be years before they get to that point. Years. There are still publishers. Most publishers still do not give Origins Award any kind of respect. Other awards just don't have that swing. I mean, I like to think the Dice Tower Awards have sway, but they really don't amongst publishers yet. So, I don't know. That's what I like to see. What's with the neck beard? Yes, this is weird, and maybe it's just me, but one day I woke up and I found that hair grew on my neck. And since it was part of the hair on my face, some people called it a neck beard. I then seemed to notice on the the internet that people say neckbeard as a derogatory thing. I guess if you don't have hair growing on your neck, you're cooler than those who do. So I salute you, and I envy you, because that must be amazing to not have hair growing on your neck. But for those of us who do, it is a constant struggle. And we have to suffer with the shame of being called a neckbeard, because we really care what other people think about our appearance. Oh, let's see here. You said you can read 1 billion words a minute? No, I can read about 1,500 words a minute. How can I improve my speed? I don't know. Listen, I think this is just one of those things that I can do. I can't jump when it's time to dunk the basketball. You would think someone who's 6'4" could dunk. I can't even touch the rim most of the time. There are many things I can't do. Maybe I could do those things if I practice. I know I can read fast because I always have read ever since a kid. I was reading like 5th grade level and 1st grade. And again, I apologize. I do not mean it's a brag. It's just one thing I happen to be good at in my life. And I think that thing has helped me out quite a bit. It definitely hasn't helped my pronunciation, obviously. and I still make words up. I just saw someone ranting today about, with all that reading you do, how can you still make up stupid words? You're destroying the English language, Vasel. You're right, I am. And sometimes that's intentional, and sometimes it's not. But I do like to read. Have you considered doing more designer interviews throughout the year? I probably would not do that, and I'll tell you why. First of all, everybody who starts a video or podcast, that's what they do. Oh, let's go interview these people. Let's go interview him. Let's go interview them. Most interviews turn into a promotional puff piece. Hey, what are you designing? Tell us about your new game. Ooh, and okay, so that's fine. I don't really mind it that much. But the fact is that people don't watch interviews that much or listen to interviews that much. They're not that big of a deal unless you get underneath layers and catch big name designers. And if I can pull that off, I'll do it, but I don't go out of my way. Have you had a chance to play Secret Hitler? It is not published, so definitely no. Do you think the game is in bad taste just because it has the name Hitler, and even though it doesn't get into any specific things he did? I don't know. I mean, I'm always suspicious of a game that maybe comes from the Cards Against Humanity folk. I assume there's stuff that's bad taste, but I don't know enough about the game to really get into that. Is putting Hitler in it, it's more of a... It seems like a cheap, provocative grab to get people talking about your game. I looked at the game a little bit. It doesn't seem like it's much about Hitler and his life. But it's called Secret Hitler. What if it was Secret Dahmer? Or some other horrific person? I don't know. I don't know that it's bad or good. I don't know how I think about it, actually. I probably won't ever play it. Maybe I will. I don't know. Have you seen the video that shows all 6 Star Wars movies at once? I don't know what that is. Do you have any thoughts on how Board Game Geek can improve their website? I would not deign to tell them how to improve their website. I know they're working hard on it. So my only thing is I would like a lot more control over my forums. They gave me more control this year. I was about to leave and go start my own forums on the Dice Tower website, and I did not because they let me moderate and do things, and I like that. I don't want to moderate, but I cannot stand trollish behavior, and I will lock that down in forums that I see. But Board Game Geek is their website. I think that they've done a fine job with it, and I don't know. Coming from a new user perspective, I think would have a better idea on that. Have you pre-purchased your Star Wars movie tickets? I am going to a theater that was bought out by a store, and so I will be going to that. That's going to be fun. Fela, Borsk Fela, yes, he's that guy I hate. Although his spoiler, okay, his death he went out in a good way, but he was such an annoying guy. I love that guy though. He was a good character. I just didn't like him, but he was a good character. You guys are still talking about these snacks. Curious why there's no review for Codenames. It's one of the biggest games of the year. Well, I did review it. I just gave it like a pre-release review of Codenames. I had a copy of it before it was completely published and did one there. I might do a review of it. It's on my shelf of, hey, if I have nothing else to review this week, I'll review Codenames. The reason it hasn't been a high priority is because I already did. So, would it get a seal of excellence? Oh, definitely. Love the game. Have you seen a new Star Trek trailer? I've not. There's a new Star Trek trailer. That's cool. There's so many good trailers coming out. Actually, I'm going to hold off on seeing the new Star Trek trailer and hope that I see it in the theater. They wouldn't show that before Star Wars, though. Would they? Did they? Maybe they would. I don't know how they pick trailers. Do they like attach to the movie? Does it have to be the same studio? But can you? Hello, Craig and Devin Budd. Merry Christmas. I'm reading Ready Player One right now. I did like it. What else would you suggest reading? I don't know. I'm not. I read so many short stories that there's no book I've read lately that's blown my socks off, but I read a lot of cool short story books. Do people keep saying you don't like Euros, or has that turned into a straw man? It's definitely turned into a straw man. Whenever I review a Euro that people like, then they get, oh, Tom doesn't like any Euros. And so it gets a little old, but that's okay because I think my track record will stand for itself. In my top 100 games, I got a Euro in my top 10. So Superman or Batman? Batman. X-Men or Avengers? Depends on the mood I'm in. Avengers or Justice League? Definitely Avengers. Aquaman or Submariner? The Submariner. Iron Man or Hulk? Hulk. Wolverine or Spider-Man? Spider-Man. The Flash or Superman? Don't care. Green Lantern or Green Arrow? Green Lantern. Doctor Doom or Thanos? Doom is more interesting, probably. Okay, that's enough of those. Rado mentioned he's very different when the camera is off. Is that true? I felt like Rado was very similar when the camera's off. I did not feel like he was different at all, actually. Okay, I'm not going to answer all these little ones here. Let's see. Bugs are God's creatures as well, Tom. That may be true, but I'm one of those people who believes the only good bug is a dead bug. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hey Tom, any pointers for running a pitch car event at a local con? Yes, you want to make you want to put a time limit on it. Okay, just everyone realize it's going to end at a certain time. You don't have to finish the race because there's that. That keeps people moving quickly. I also tell them that the time limit is a flexible time limit, so they can't go slow on purpose if they're ahead, so that someone else can get ahead. And you keep things moving. When I do a pitch car event, I say red car, blue car, white car, whatever car is next, and those people are ready to go and get their cars ready because that is important to keep it moving. It makes it a lot of fun, and try to make the track fun, but don't make the track too crazy. Have a couple crazy sections maybe in the track, but don't make the whole track crazy because then everyone just gets clogged in the shots. You want those super long straights in it because they're great to have these wonderful shots, and people get all excited about that. You need to make a video of a pitch car tourney. I would love to see an edited version, of course. That's interesting. Maybe we'll do that sometime. I'm running one at the South Florida convention this week. Maybe I'll bring my camera along. Is Alchemist a good two-player game? I don't know. I've never played it with two players, but that's interesting. I think Rado liked it, so he's the guy for two-player games, I think. Tom, what do you think the most effective way is for consumers to convince a company to reprint a game? Show them there's enough demand, but I don't think that that's ever going to happen. They're going to just feel it out and just read about it. I don't know that I've ever seen like a bring back a game work campaign work. I don't think so. How cool would it be if they made a story about the time agency itself? Like you and your team explore the halls of the agency, finding some threat. I feel like that will happen in the future. I really feel like there's an overarching story to everything. What's your favorite Apple Watch app? Texting, for sure. I'm not a big texter, and people text me all the time, and I always miss it. With this, I miss it a lot less. Okay. Where are we now? Who's the coolest board gamer of all? The ones I'm playing with. Most seem like nerds. What's up with that? Well, Mark, I would suggest that it could be possibly your perception there. What's a nerd? Nerd's a derogatory term, and nowadays I think we prefer to be called geeks. Is that right? But call me a nerd, call me a geek, whatever. I don't get it. Is that a bad thing? Is someone who's a nerd like a negative thing? A nerd is someone who likes something a lot, right? To the point sometimes of obsession or so. But you say most board gamers seem like nerds. Maybe you should then teach a bunch of jocks how to play board games and have fun with them. I don't know what else to tell you. You want to know who the coolest board gamer of all is? My wife. And she's a nerd. No, she's not. I love her. It was her birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday to my wife! Yeah! She had a big one on. That's all I'll say there, because I don't want to get yelled at. Do you think miniature games are overrated? No. Oh, do people vote them higher because they have nice miniatures? Probably. Just like Eurogamers vote them higher because they like that style of game. Just like Wargamers vote them higher because they like the historical conflict. It just happens. Why do you love HeroScape so much? Fortunately, I've done a 5 video series on that, and you can go watch that, and I'll tell you why I love it so much, because it's amazing. What advice would you give to someone who wants to review board games on YouTube? First of all, don't be discouraged that your audience will be super small at the beginning, and don't expect companies to shower you with free games. Just go out there and do your best. Show people that you really love games. Be enthusiastic. Be consistent, and try a different angle than other people have been doing. Also short. Short is better than long. Short is better than long. Yes, there's a couple reviewers out there who have made it their shtick to be long, but they will always have fewer views than people who are short, and new long reviewers have a harder time of it. If you're going to be long, make sure all the words you say are worth listening to, and you're entertaining the whole time. That's the only way you'll pull it off. Have you ever been in a fist fight? Not since I was a kid. We'll see. What happened to Deus? Is it still in your collection? It is! Huzzah! I think you said you're not interested in designing another game after Nothing Personal. I'm not. I won't say I'll never design again, but I'm not really interested in it. What game, theme, mechanic, combo would you like to see that's not out there now? I would like to see some more things done with drafting, but that's been done with Blood Rage. I still would like to see a board that has mobile parts, like a Zulkin type thing, but maybe not so cut and dry as Zulkin. I want to see something moving pieces on a board that really matters. That, to me, would be pretty cool. Let's see. Is there a game that's out of print that you wish would get reprinted? Giant Super Rhino. If you were all to be stranded on a desert island, who would go crazy first? You, Z, or Sam? Probably Z, I'm guessing. When do you think you'll get to review CV? As I'll say with many of these questions, when I get to it. It's on my list. I want to do it. It's coming. What's my favorite Christmas cookie? Oh, just sugar cookies with sugar and icing on them. I love them, but I'm not eating any. Not. Oh, for the marathon gaming session, you should play games that Sam or Z have not played, like Robinson Crusoe. No, we did that the last marathon. Bad idea. We're only playing games that everyone already knows how to play. That's what's happening. Aren't you happy that you don't have to say the new Dice Tower website's coming, I promise, anymore? What's your equivalent for 2016? Well, we're going to say, hey, new microphones are coming, I promise. And other stuff is coming, I promise. Hey, Tom, do you like to receive fan-made expansions for your favorite games? Probably not. I used to get some people sent me some custom HeroScape stuff, and I like that. But I don't really need any more stuff at all, so I don't really ask for it at all. Are there going to be any new perks for the Kickstarter this year? There is. Let's see if I can think of one I can tell you guys about. That's new that we didn't have last year. We have most of the stuff from last year coming back. Some of it has been redesigned. Something new. We'll go with a Dice Tower sticker. That's not very exciting, but that's what I'm telling you now. Dice Tower sticker. How does reviewing games work for you full time? It just does. And who pays you? You do. Well, you don't have to. See, what we do is we like to make this everything free on our channel. Anyone can watch it anytime. But if you think it's worth your time, every January, which is very soon, we have a Kickstarter, and we say if you think the show is good enough to support for this year, then throw some support our way, and that is how we get paid. Similar to Wikipedia, to PBS, things like that. Have you played Eminent Domain lately? I have not. Will you get it back out when the next expansion arrives? I don't know. I don't have it any longer. I think Z does. I did not even play the first expansion. I was never sent it, so I just never got around to reviewing it. What's the heaviest game you'll play? Most definitely Pitch Car. That thing weighs like 50 pounds sometimes with all that stuff in it. That's probably the heaviest game I'll play. The new Independence Day trailer looks cool. Yeah, I love Independence Day. Can't wait to see a sequel to that. Tom is fat and mean. He never answers my questions. I can't imagine why. Merry Christmas from Michael and Jessica. Cheetah. That's a really cool name. Cheetah is your last name? That's amazing. Some people, it's just really cool last names. Mine, I have to say, it's like Vasel, like Vaseline. Actually, I like my last name because it's so unique. Will we see more of Jason on the Dice Tower in the future? Hey, check out our Kickstarter. And there we all shot to the bottom again. Happy birthdays, Tom's wife. Her name is Laura, Laura, and she's amazing. Oh, Pitch Car live show we did during Dice Tower Con. You're right. We did one there you can watch. Maybe I'll do a little bit better camera work, but I'd have to ask someone to do that instead of playing a game. That's the thing I don't know about. Is there any way I can get Mamma Mia? Is Mamma Mia out of print? That'd be a nice one to come back and print. Mamma Mia's a lot of fun. Interesting. Let's see. Concerning the kick... Yeah, I already just answered that. Do you need Tuscany to enjoy viticulture? You do not. I will never play viticulture without Tuscany, but I liked Tuscany before I played viticulture. Someday you might retire from the Dice Tower? Okay, I'm not seeing that happening. But what percentage of the current game collection do you believe today that will still be around then? 20%. I don't know. I'm making up numbers. How am I supposed to know? Do you have any insight on how to go about selling collectibles like old cards and toys? I'm trying to figure out a fair way to do that without getting taken advantage of. I think the fairest way to do it is put them on eBay. Then let the price decide itself from the collectors. No, we're playing for the marathon. We are definitely playing games that people know how to play. We're not teaching. I mean, we might teach new party games, right? Because you can get into a party game. But for the bigger games, we are going to know how to play them. Maybe we'll teach Eric how to play it for the first time. That'd be fun. It'd be a time for Eric to learn new games marathon. If you could only play Phase 10 or Monopoly for the rest of your life, which game would you choose? Probably Monopoly. I despise Phase 10. Monopoly's not that horrible. Are you an active member of Reddit board games? I don't know if you would consider me active. Do I go there every day? I do. Do I check it as much as I check Board Game Geek? Pretty close. Could you touch on why the top rated games on Board Game Geek, Reddit, and Dice Tower tend to be subject to such variability? I don't actually know how games are rated on Reddit, so I can't compare that. With Board Game Geek, the difference between that and Dice Tower is two things. One, the Board Game Geek ratings stay forever. Dice Tower, we re-rate every year, which I think is, in my opinion, I like it better because it's fresher and people's ratings change over time, but they don't change them on Board Game Geek. Second, Board Game Geek, you can rate games low on purpose. I already talked about this earlier, and that's I don't like that much either. I mean, I'll rate games low, but I'm not doing it to bring down the overall ranking. Why aren't you watching the Miami Dolphins? I don't have a TV. I only have the internet. And I don't believe they put sports on the internet. And I'll watch a football game if other people are watching it and there's interesting commercials in between the football game. Does your Christmas tree have a lot of decorations on it, or is it pretty simple? Oh, it has a lot on it. I let the girls put it together now. They crank that thing out. And I'm like, I see some green. We need more decorations. Where's my Christmas card? Says Paul Tompkins. Well, Paul, if I was supposed to send you one, it should be in the mail. If you don't get it within this week, then let me know, because we sent out a lot of Christmas cards. My hand was very tired of writing my name. I did not expect so many people to take advantage of that in the Kickstarter. But it's fine. It's fine. And my kids enjoy doing it. I have another pile on my desk, but those are not ones we're sending out. Those are for people that we know around here. You mentioned in your podcast that you'd like to make your sermons interesting. Are any of them available to listen to online? I don't know. I guess if you did a search for Tom Vasel sermon, maybe that would bring something up. I don't know. Let's look. I know they're online somewhere. Tom Vasel sermon. And sermon audio. There's a few. How to deal with cranky Christians. Most of these are from 13 and 14. Okay, well, go ahead if you want. Other than board games, what's on your Christmas wish list? A, there's no board games on my Christmas wish list, and I actually don't have one. If I did have one, I would put iPad Pro, but my family can't afford that. I don't want them to spend that kind of money on me, so I haven't put that on a list. Some more hats. I'm really blessed. I don't know. There's a lot that I really want. I'm really happy. I have a fantastic family. I don't need anything for Christmas. If my kids have a great Christmas, I'm happy. Cruise tickets. No, see, that's too expensive. I can't ask for that sort of stuff. So like little stuff, I told them, please don't go to the store and just buy me something. To buy me something, it's a waste of money. It's not a big deal. I'm okay. Let's see. The longest game session of one game you've ever played, that was Phase 10. No, I don't know. Probably 7 Ages. I played 7 Ages for a good chunk one time. Really liked that game. What are you having for Christmas dinner? I've not actually planned Christmas Day out yet. I know for Christmas Eve we'll be at our church. Christmas Day, I'll be celebrating at home with the family in the morning. I do not know what I will be doing the rest of Christmas Day yet. Something. Probably I spend a good chunk of Christmas morning opening and putting together things for people. For Christmas dinner, I really haven't thought about it. Oh, no, that's not true. I was just thinking about the other day. You're right. I might do shrimp and sausage gumbo again. I really love shrimp. I don't know, something that's healthy, right? Have you ever given old games to children's charities, and what's your favorite charity? I've given some of my games to my daughter's school because they needed games, and I really believe that's the way that should be. Have you listened to an audiobook read by Eric? I have not. I don't listen to audiobooks. I downloaded Audible. I got the free Audible thing, sign up, and we listened to a book. I listened to it with my kids, and I thought, okay, that's great. Audible is great for the kids. The kids can listen to a book being read. But for me, it was like, hurry up, read the book. So I'm really glad Eric does read books. I think it's a great thing. It's a fantastic job for him, and I feel horrible that it's not for me. Top 5 dice shapes. This person says 12 is better than 6 is better than 10 is better than 20 is better than 8. 4-sided doesn't make the list because I'm not insane. My favorite dice shapes, 5-sided is my favorite. After that is the 12. You were correct. The 12 is a very good die. After the 12 is probably the 20. I like the 20. After the 20 is the 100 die because that's just cool. 30-sided die is after that. Then we'll go with the 24, the 26, then the 10. The 7 is good. The 6-sided is fine if it's a little bit boring. But you're right, the 4-sided is the worst. It really is. Just get an 8-sided die and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Name the 4 games on the shelf to your left. Okay. You're looking at the screen like that. So is this my left? Is it here? Because these 4 games, I can see them in my screen. You know that, right? Chaos Ball, Dungeon Pets, Revolution, and the Troubles. Attack on Troubles, or let's see. If we destroy the stretch goals for the Dice Tower, what would you dream of doing with extra money? I don't think you'll destroy the stretch goals. If you destroy the stretch goals, I'll come up with other plans, but they would essentially be more involved, getting more people. I have some long range ideas for 2017. I would have to pull them up into 2016, I guess. Oh my goodness, it's 11:10. I'm 10 minutes over. That's never happened before. I usually end my shows exactly 1 hour. I got so involved in answering the questions, I didn't even watch the time. Well, that's great. Shows that I'm kind of wide awake, but it is time for bed. So I'm going to answer 2 more questions, and then we're going to end. All right. How many games do you get to play in an average week? And is this for fun or review? I probably play 20-ish games in an average week. It's for fun and review. The difference doesn't matter. I have fun playing new games, so I'm okay. What's the game that got you into gaming? It's a series of games. I will do the history of my gaming sometime video. How's that? How I got into games, and I'll talk about that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So let's see. Why haven't I seen you on Will Wheaton's Tabletop? Oh, I'm not famous. That's why. It's a pretty easy answer. Yes, just a guy with a camera, multiple cameras, and a few board games, and I've done a couple reviews in my life. And there's a few people who like to watch me do Q&As, which I find somewhat insane, but what are the alternatives, I suppose? Hey guys, I really appreciate you watching. Thanks for letting me rant tonight and talk about all sorts of odd and unusual things, and even go overtime. This is insanity. Well, okay. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Q&A. Thank you guys.